When ground soldiers need close air support in the not-too-distant future, the Ghostrider and its lethal weaponry will answer their call. Hello and welcome to another video from War Secrets. Today we are going to take a look at a lethal machine that's going to rule the skies for decades. The Ghostrider will be the most heavily equipped gunship in history when it hits the battlefield in a few years. A ferocious jet providing close air support to US forces on the ground and delivering withering firepower that will send foes fleeing for cover. Before we talk about the Ghostrider, let's talk about the class it comes from. The AC-130 and its variations, despite attracting only a fraction of the attention, have been workhorses for the past 15 years of conflict. During the early days of the Afghan conflict, they opened fire on the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, and they went on to fight in many more fights there throughout the years. They backed ground soldiers during the 2003 invasion of Iraq, as well as in subsequent confrontations like the Fallujah fights. During the civil war in Libya in 2011, they carried out raids on the soldiers of Libyan tyrant Muammar Gaddafi. The AC-130's guns were aimed at ISIS militants, cars and oil trucks in places like Raqqa, Syria, as the military's focus shifted to ISIS. The AC-130J is the fourth generation of this type, and it will ultimately replace the outdated U and W variants. It's a virtual certainty that it will be hovering above the battlefields for decades to come, whenever Americans are fighting. No gunship has ever had this combination of numerous high-capacity cannons and precision-guided bombs before. The Air Force's Special Operations Command has received 37 AC-130J Ghostrider aircraft from Lockheed Martin to date, and the total cost of the AC-130J Ghostrider program is expected to be $2.4 billion. The Ghostrider is a Lockheed C-130J that has been heavily modified to the point where it practically brims with weaponry, to the point where experts dubbed it a bomb truck with guns and the ultimate battle plane. The sheer amount of armament on the show becomes as clear as soon as you walk through the cargo bay of the 130J. After exiting the cockpit, you see a Block 10 30mm cannon, an automatic weapon capable of firing 200 rounds per minute, each roughly the size of a Coca-Cola bottle. Each bullet explodes with the equivalent blast of a hand grenade, and there's a whole lot of them aboard the plane. The Ghostrider's crew has a variety of options for the 30mm. It is not only trainable, making it easier to aim at a target without having to reorient the entire plane, but it also has two distinct ammo chains. This can provide the Ghostrider with more of one type of ammunition, while allowing airmen to swiftly convert to a different type of ammunition if a different threat arises. The Block 20 105mm gun is located at the plane's after end, aiming left. The 105mm gun, which was also placed on the older AC-130U Spooky variant, wasn't supposed to be on the Ghostrider at all, but the authorities insisted on it. The 105mm cannon fires 50-pound rounds with more than 32 pounds of explosive, which are roughly 12 to 3 feet long. To put that into context, some of the Army's howitzers also fire 105mm shells. It's essentially an artillery weapon that fires down from the sky rather than up from the ground. However, the tremendous boom also recoils the gun 49 inches with 14,000 pounds of force, which could easily kill an unlucky crew member caught behind it. As a result, a safety cage is constructed around the 105mm gun to keep airmen safe. The AC-130J's airframe is stronger than it would ordinarily be to bear the exhausting effects of such high recoil. However, the crew avoids shooting both the 30mm and 105mm at the same time because this would double the stress and recoil. The AC-130J will be able to carry 80 105mm rounds and fire more than 10 rounds per minute, and the plane's crew will be able to point it at targets using the controls. The MOP, or Mission Operator Pallet, is located between the 30mm and 105mm cannons and consists of two stations, one for WSOs and one for an enlisted sensor operator, each with multiple video screens and instruments controlling the array of cameras and sensors that help the crew target, as well as another control used to fire weapons. It borrows several instruments from the F-35. Operators can rotate the plane's cameras 360 degrees and toggle between a conventional view and infrared, switch the polarity of the infrared and tweak the image for higher resolution using the zoom stick. Using radio communications, emails, targeting data, and video beamed in from other sources, such as command headquarters, crew members must absorb a massive amount of information for their situational awareness. Where friendly troops and aircraft are, where enemies and their vehicles are, where civilians are. A set of multifunction electronic displays have replaced the outdated analog dials that used to obstruct the view of pilots and navigators in the J's cockpit. Instead of having a physical weather radar in front of a navigator's face, whether or not he needs it, crew members can use an iPad app to call up only the most important digital instruments, such as radar and collision avoidance systems, or hide undesired instruments. For reduced visibility, the AC-130J is equipped with an AN/ALR 56M radar warning receiver, an AN/AAR 47V2 missile warning system, and an AN/ALE 47 countermeasures distribution system, a fuel protection system against ullage explosion, redundant flight vital components, and Kinetic Q's last lightweight composite armor system to protect crew locations and oxygen supply regions from 7.62mm ball rounds are among the aircraft's safety and protection measures. 2 electro-infrared sensors, an all-weather synthetic aperture radar pod, a pilot helmet-mounted cueing system, and various video, data, and communication links are among the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance equipment included in the PSP. All of the PSP subsystems are controlled by a dual-console mission operator pallet in the cargo bay. The plane is also outfitted with a cutting-edge firefighting technology. The AGM-176A Griffin missiles are the Ghostrider's precision strike package centerpiece, and part of what sets it apart from its predecessors. The plane carries 10 Griffin missiles, which are laser-guided, half-scale Hellfire missiles with a fragmentation warhead and a GPS backup to ensure they land on target. Each Griffin stands in a 4-foot-tall tube attached to its tail. Nose up, the Griffin is electrically released out of the back of the plane, pops out its fins, and orients itself into the wind stream when it's time to fire. When it gets far enough away, its rocket motor fires, and it screams past the jet. However, because they are precision-guided weapons, such missiles are far more expensive than 30mm or 105mm shells. As a result, they're usually saved for the most important targets that need to be shot with the greatest precision. Hellfire missiles and GBU-39 smaller diameter bombs can also be carried by the AC-130J. The crew can gradually increase the amount of force utilized to meet the threat thanks to the different weapons on board. They start with the 30 and work their way up to the 105, and even the 250-pound glide munitions, GBU-39 bombs, as we move up. All of this might get even better. There are plans to install a high-energy laser on an AC-130J gunship soon. Experts proposed that a laser, possibly placed in place of the 105mm gun, be used first as a defensive weapon to shoot down an enemy missile fired at the AC-130J. However, it will also be used for attack in the future to disable enemy aircraft or other vehicles. 4 Navy SEALs perished in the process of destroying his boat and jet to prevent him from fleeing. Pilots agreed that having a silent laser at its disposal would be a fantastic weapon. They explained that the laser would give them an advantage by allowing them to simply take down a truck from miles away without anyone knowing. Developers have also proposed aiming the jet with miniature drones to assist it to fight through dense cloud cover. They claim that when targets are obscured by heavy clouds, the 130J is unable to identify and hit them. If the jet could shoot a drone from its back tubes instead of a missile, it could fly below the clouds and target the enemy. A drone may be useful in steep terrain or locations where there is a lot of fire, which would put the 130J in jeopardy. The Ghostrider is notable for more than simply its firepower. It is lighter, faster, and more efficient than legacy planes, burning 25 to 30% less gas. It has a top speed of around 362 knots or 416 miles per hour, which is significantly faster than the AC-130U's top speed of around 300 miles per hour. The AC-130J has a maximum range of 300 miles and a maximum altitude of 28,000 feet, which is nearly twice as far and 3,000 feet higher than the AC-130U. The aircraft is equipped with 4 Rolls-Royce AE-2100D3 turboprop engines, each producing 3,458 kilowatts of thrust. The AE-2100D3 engines are 3.15 meters long and 0.73 meters wide. The engines propel 4 Doughty propellers with 6 blades each. The 60-90 kilovolt amp generators on the AC-130J Ghostrider provide greater direct current (DC) electrical output. The aircraft can fly for up to 3,000 miles without refueling and can achieve speeds of 362 kilometers per hour at 22,000 feet altitude. Pilots, who previously worked as a navigator on earlier planes like the C-130EH, remarked that the plane feels like you're on a spaceship, and it's hard not to be impressed with this absolute beast of an aircraft. That's all for today's video. We hope you liked it. If so, please subscribe to War Secrets and press the bell icon to receive the latest updates for our future videos. We will see you in our next video. Take care. Bye.